Mwai Kibaki was a high one. To face this challenge, we had to first embrace what previous administrations had done and accelerate their achievements. That was part of the big push. Today, I am proud to record that if the third Kenyan administration built 2,000 kilometers of tarmac road, we accelerated this achievement by building over 11,000 kilometers, which is close to 6 times what they built. In fact, truth be said, we have built more roads in 9 years than what all previous administrations combined, including the British, built in 123 years. Wapende wasipende, hiyo ndio ukweli wa mambo. If this nation's third administration had set the bar higher, we have set the bar even higher. And the record is there for all to see. Across all 8 former provinces, in each of the 47 counties, we have transformed our country 1 kilometer at a time. Our world-class infrastructure, from elevated expressways to floating bridges, have put Kenya on the global map. And as a result, we have distinguished ourselves as an investment destination of choice, a regional and continental hub, and a leader on the African continent. With the mandate you gave me, fellow Kenyans, we also transformed the way government services reach you. We did this through the introduction of Huduma centers, an online platform such as eCitizen, to make access to public services a fast and pleasant experience and not a toil that every citizen must endure so as to obtain basic services. Jamani nipatie maji bwana. In 2013, in 2012, who would have believed that passport applications, birth certificates, marriages and business registration, driver's licenses, and so many others could be done online from anywhere in the world? My administration has also supported similar advancement in the independent arms of government, resulting in a situation where Kenyans now file and serve documents for their court cases online, and the era of the notorious missing court file has been firmly put behind us. It is in the life of this administration that a business can be registered online and a certificate issued on the same day, together with the KRA PIN and other statutory registrations. We did it because we know that it is our duty to facilitate your enjoyment of your social economic rights without unnecessary and cumbersome barriers. In the past, all land matters in Kenya were handled using a manual registry, and this made the Ministry of Lands a total den of corruption. In fact, part of the Wilson Airport runway to my left here had a title deed registered in the name of a private individual. But as part of the reforms in the land registry, the process of stamping out fake title deeds and reversing this fraud has been accelerated. It took previously a minimum of 6 months to do a single land transaction. This has now been reduced to 48 hours using a system called Adhisasa. And similarly, instead of taking 1 to 3 months to do a land search, this system will give you a land search result in 3 to 5 minutes. Thanks to the brigadier. Huyo mama mumeona hapa, msicheze na yeye, amefanya kazi mingi sana. Wale ambao hawapigi kelele ndio wanabadilisha Kenya. With the mandate you gave me, we have set a high bar for how and where government services should be provided. Never again will Kenyans accept that they must contend with long winding queues, pay the infamous and notorious facilitation fee to receive their rights, or to travel long distances to the nearest major town to receive even the most basic of public services. As the administration that assumed office on the signature pledge of being a digital government, the revolution that is the delivery of services online, coupled with the concept of Huduma centers, which we implemented, have changed the way Kenyans do business. In doing so, it has also created opportunities for Kenyans in the private sector and built an enabling environment for an ICT versatile society. It is in the tenure of this administration that we successfully transitioned from analog to digital television and radio, resulting in the country being home to 130 TV stations, up from 14 in 2013. 204 radio stations, up from 130 in 2013. These impressive figures do not lie, and this does not factor the massive expansion of the digital space that has seen many hundreds of thousands of Kenyans successfully monetize various digital communication avenues. Ndio unaona wengine wananitukana kila siku, ni sawa tu, waendelee. Ni haki yao. Besides jobs, through our expansion of the digital space, the government has enabled small and medium enterprises, regional, community, and church-based broadcasters throughout the country to create niche routes for direct engagement. The dividends of the investments in our undersea cable are also manifest. To fully seize the opportunities offered in this information age, our massive ICT investment has seen internet penetration in Kenya rise from 31.4% in 2013 to 93.9% in 2022, with cellular phone penetration increasing from 74.9% to over 131% in the last reported cycle. Indeed, fellow Kenyans, over the same period of time, money transfers have increased from 1.9 trillion shillings a year to 6.8 trillion shillings every year. Further, online jobs, not just here in Kenya, but globally, have secured close to 1 million jobs for Kenyans, while innovators continue to make waves globally from their very locations here in Kenya. So, fellows and Kenyans, as we prepare to hand over the baton to the fifth administration, there are three critical areas that I believe a new administration should focus on, but mine are just suggestions. Me naenda. Firstly, you cannot do the big push investments in dams, roads, and rail in an environment of corruption. I say so because we cannot lie, the devil of corruption is still alive and well here in Kenya. For the next administration to multiply our dividend and continue raising the bar, it must work from the inside out. It must not backslide on the corruption agenda. When corruption festers in government, you cannot fight it from the court of public opinion. You must fight it from the inside out. And that is why leaders elected must have the credentials and the will to continue this cleanup. Secondly, you cannot implement big push investments in an environment of political strife and hypocrisy. Many have doubted whether my government has achieved in the second term. But let me tell you, we have. And the record must reflect that this is true of all sectors. To name but one, during our first term, we built slightly over 3,000 kilometers of tarmac road. But the second term, we have completed close to 8,000 kilometers and over 6,600 kilometers of tarmac road are currently ongoing. And all of this, I strongly believe, has happened because of the political stability that we achieved because of the handshake. Three, big push investments are bold investments, and they call for surgical and sometimes ruthless execution. Such undertakings cannot be fed on the milk of meekness. They need an attitude that shows the contempt card to those who dwell in negativity and naysaying. For instance, many have told you that the expressway that snakes through the heart of Nairobi, our pessimists said that it is impossible. Yet we have done it. And if we had said then that we would do it without a single coin from the taxpayer, except that which was used for the relocation of utilities, including electricity, water, fiber optic cables, many would have said we were dreaming, but we did it. Today, the Nairobi Expressway snakes through the skylines of Nairobi as a wonder. Under normal circumstances, it would have taken us 4 years to build it. But because we were determined to complete it, we have achieved it in a year and a half. Because we believed. We believed in Kenya. We believed in our people, and we believed in ourselves as a government. As an affirmation of the confidence we enjoy from foreign investors, we built the first expressway in Africa. This first expressway, the first in Africa, using private foreign capital. Indeed, we did this at half the time and at no project cost to the taxpayer. It is also notable that we were able to build it to international standards. With this signature project, we have opened up new possibilities for our own private sector investments, including equity and pension funds, to invest in public infrastructure and make decent returns. So, fellow Kenyans, allow me to turn to my second legacy frame of economic acceleration. And for this, I mean multiplying the economic foundations of our nation at a rate that is outside the normal. The first limb will address how we are faring on production, and the second limb will respond to a question by many why we had to borrow in order to accelerate our fundamentals. Since 2013, we have used your mandates to ring-fence and grow our traditional exports of tea, coffee, and horticulture. Across the country, coffee rates for 2022 are out, and we have nearly doubled our earnings made by the coffee farmer, from an average of Kenya shillings 60 per kilogram of cherry in 2013 to Kenya shillings 110 to 125 per kilogram today. Tea earnings from exports rose by 20%, from Kenya shillings 114 billion in 2013 to 136 billion in 2021. In 9 years, over Kenya shillings 454 billion have been paid to our smallholder tea farmers. In addition, ladies and gentlemen, in addition to our traditional export crops, we have stayed ahead of the curve by supporting the emerging crops that will bolster our agriculture and horticultural earnings for decades to come. Just to mention one, the avocado, which is on course to become a top export earner. In the last year alone, we earned 15 billion shillings from avocado exports compared to 1 billion shillings in 2013. My administration has leveraged on improved diplomatic stances between Kenya and leading importers of the crop to negotiate preferential access for Kenyan avocado products. Another plank of this strategy was for employment creation is anchored on the Buy Kenya, Build Kenya policy. With this singular intervention, the supply of uniforms for our security organs, including footwear, have transformed our textile and leather industries and unleashed thousands of new jobs for our young people, in addition to the immeasurable pride in having the magical tag of Made in Kenya affixed to these items. To encourage leading motor vehicle brands to set up shop in Kenya and to restore our existing assembly lines, the procurement framework for motor vehicles by government and other security organs, we enhanced preference to locally assembled vehicles. With this policy shift alone, a moribund industry of vehicle assembly that was once moribund and dead is once again alive. With the mandate that you gave us, the voice of women, youth, and persons with disabilities that was once muted is now at the center of a growing Kenyan enterprise. Through AGPO, a staggering 169.6 billion has been pushed through these historically marginalized groups. So, fellow Kenyans, to address my second limb, why borrow? We must also first look at how other nations have prospered. It took England 200 years to industrialize, the United States of America 160 years, Japan 110 years, but China took only 35 years. And the four Asian tigers of Hong Kong, Taiwan, Singapore, and South Korea took 25 years to industrialize. And that is why the accelerated growth was called the Asian miracle. The secret to these miracles, ladies and gentlemen, was acceleration. They contracted their development timelines by implementing aggressive interventions and through policy choices that added their acceleration. In just one generation, they were at par with the Western world. The Afro-pessimists who are constantly out there bombarding us with nonsense will tell you that Kenya cannot replicate this miracle. But I want to assure you, they are wrong and we are right. Our accelerated path to economic growth has begun and must be maintained into the future. In just 9 years, we have moved from being the 12th largest economy on the African continent to the 6th largest economy, and we are still growing. In the same time, we have tripled the wealth of our nation from a GDP of 4.5 trillion in 2013 to close to 13 trillion today. As a mark of this remarkable growth, our tax revenues have doubled from Kenya shillings 800 billion in the financial year 2012-2013 to Kenya shillings 1.6 trillion as at April 2022. With the mandate you gave us, ladies and gentlemen, we are on a course to achieve the record-shattering projection of Kenya shillings 2 trillion in collections by the end of the current financial year. Fellow Kenyans, we have grown our road network almost 6 times, our power generation 40 times, connected more homes to electricity than any other country on the African continent. And we have done this in just 9 years. I do believe that the next administration can multiply these efforts to unprecedented heights. But to keep this acceleration, that 5th administration must borrow 2 lessons. One is that it is not possible to maintain the speed of our achievements in a contaminated environment. And this allows me to go back to the corruption cleanup that I started talking about. When we took over in 2013, we had some state corporations that were rotten from the core. We had to drain this swamp from inside out. But we had to balance this cleanup exercise with accelerated performance. Some have accused me of militarizing our country. I have no such intention. Kenya is a democracy, and it shall always remain a democracy. But I did not hesitate and will not hesitate to use our discipline services to correct and to do that which others have failed to do. We turn to our disciplined forces and we summon them to the cause of nation building. And the record must reflect that they have not disappointed us. When we gave them the Kenya Meat Commission to manage, they turned it into a profit-making enterprise within a year. The other institution worth of mention is the Kenya Shipyard Limited. This institution had collapsed due to mismanagement and corruption. Then last year, we handed it over to the disciplined forces. Today, this corporation is poised to have the largest shipyard in sub-Saharan Africa. This, ladies and gentlemen, is evidence that in an environment that is not contaminated, things can be done. If we could build this park and the museum behind us, using the disciplined forces in only 22 months, instead of the 10 years it would normally have taken. If we have begun restoring the glory of Nairobi, using the Nairobi Metropolitan Services, I do believe it can be done. The second lesson that will keep our accelerated achievements afloat has to do with debt. And on this, I want to pose a national question. How much is too much borrowing? When does borrowing become too much and unbearable to a nation? The only time debt is a burden to a nation is if a nation is led by looters. But in the hands of a visionary administration, debt is a catalyst for rapid development. And I will give but one example. When South Korea achieved her economic miracle in a record 25 years, it also achieved the rank of being the 4th most indebted nation in the world. But the South Koreans did not call it debt. They called it using other people's money to advance their cause. What this means is that nations that have advanced have not necessarily used their own money, especially when they are not endowed with natural resources. They have borrowed from others to catch up and to become world economic leaders. And the national question, therefore, to us today is not whether debt is good or bad. The more legitimate question has to do with what the next administration will do with borrowed funds. Will they end up in the private pockets, or will they be used to accelerate economic advancement? On my part, I believe we have used other people's money to close our infrastructure gap, to connect our markets. For example, when a maize trader in Kitale previously would take 3 days from Kitale, with what we have borrowed and the roads we have built, we have ensured that that man from Kitale can be at the border of South Sudan in just 5 hours, not 3 days. Similarly today, any trader can travel on a tarmac road to 4 out of 5 of our neighboring countries and do so in record time. If we can transport 10 times more passengers with the SGR at half the price and at half the time, and move 3 times more cargo daily from Mombasa to our neighbors, then our borrowing has surely been worthwhile and paid tangible dividends. So to maintain the tempo of increased and accelerated achievement, the next administration should not shy away from using other people's money. Debt in a cleaned-up government is an enabler, not a burden. With the mandate that you have given us, the people summoned us to secure sustainable development and to foster intergenerational equity, and we honor this solemn duty. We honor. Now, sorry, let me go back. So, fellow Kenyans, with the mandate that you've given us, we also move to secure sustainable development and to foster intergenerational equity. We honored this solemn duty by restoring our water towers, protecting our environment through pollution control. We have conserved wetlands and firmly established Kenya as a global leader in the area of sustainable development. Our conservation efforts have fortified our biodiversity, and as a result, we have recorded the lowest levels of poaching in our nation's history. On account of this robust ecosystem, we have registered the highest wildlife population for a majority of those species that were previously endangered. We did this so that every Kenyan can enjoy their right to a clean, healthy environment, and so that our heritage of splendor can be passed down from one generation to another unencumbered. We have planted 1.34 billion trees, moving our forest cover from 6.99% in 2013 to 8.83% in 2022, and our tree cover to 12.3%, well over the 10% envisioned in our Constitution, and 8 years ahead of the target date that was set of 2030. To halt the destruction of water towers, an elusive dream that has eluded every other administration, we contain the encroachments in the water tower resources of the Masai Mara Forest Complex. We have also banned the use of polythene bags and saved marine and terrestrial life. We have moved also with the beautification of our urban areas, especially here in Nairobi. And this initiative has led to the emergence of our nation as a leader in climate change action and established a thriving green economy. We have also moved in the water sector by building dams, including Thiba Dam, Yamo Dam in Samburu, and are on course to complete while starting others such as Thwake Dam, Mwache Dam at the coast, Karimeno Dam here in Kiambu, Sioi Murunye Road Dam in West Pokot, Bute Dam in Wajir, and Soin Koru Dam in Nyanza. In total, we are currently implementing some 685 water and sanitation projects. And if we conclude these, which we hope will be concluded by the end of this year, at least 80% of Kenyan households will have access to water and 40% to sanitation. Today, we have 13 million Kenyans connected to clean water. Our irrigation has doubled from 374,000 acres to 664 acres currently. From independence, we had only produced 5 million title deeds. Today, we have added an additional 6 million title deeds, bringing our national aggregate to 11 million. We have also heralded the enactment of the Land Index laws, which should put a stop to the blight that is occasioned by bloated valuation figures in the process of compulsory land acquisition, thereby making it easier for us to complete public projects. We have also moved towards the restoration of dignity and political stabilization. And as we look forward to the August 9th general elections, we must ask ourselves, what is the purpose of an election? Let me pose this question more pointedly by using two examples. When we choose the legacy framework of restoration of dignity, we want to reduce the burden of dignity to our people, and this is why we have targeted health. Universal health coverage, which is something that we are very keen and have been keen on, has seen a growth of more than 17.1 million Kenyans insured under NHIF compared to 4.4 million. These are the things that Kenyans want to see continue. We have constructed an additional 1,912 healthcare facilities in conjunction with county governments across all levels of healthcare. Today, we have a new level 6 hospital, the Kenyatta University Teaching and Referral Hospital, that supports all these other ones. In the same period, we have increased our ICU capacity from 108 to 651 ICU-ready beds. Similarly, our hospital bed capacity has gone up from 56,000 to 82,000. In Nairobi alone, we have built 29 new hospitals in our informal settlements, which has changed the way healthcare is administered in our informal settlements. And we have opened a new level 5 hospital in Korogosho, one of those informal settlements. And although we have increased affordable access to healthcare, we have not yet done all we can, and there is still more to be done. We need, hii sasa imekuwa ndefu. So ladies and gentlemen, let me try and conclude. While we have had the longest and most consequential period of transformation in our nation's history, it does not mean that the work of nation building is complete or that we are free from want as a country. Recurring waves of drought continue to subject some of our brothers and sisters across our country to hunger. It is hard to tell whether the long rains that we expected in April will commence properly or not, or whether we shall have another year, a fourth year of consecutive drought. And even as we contend with these effects, we are also facing challenges rising from other areas that no other generation has faced in over a century. A health pandemic that has caused untold suffering, robbing us thousands of our fellow compatriots, and in its wake, rendering millions jobless. Global tensions today are threatening global food supply and fuel supply chains, causing untold disruptions in transport and logistics, causing skyrocketing prices of basic commodities, food items, leading to higher costs of living and turbulence in international finances, issues that will continue to require attention and vigilance. We are also still faced with security challenges in parts of our country, including Kerio Valley, parts of Marsabit, parts of Laikipia, where bandits cannot even spare our children, robbing us our future. And unemployment is still a major challenge, dampening the spirits of our youth and also disheartening their parents. Equally important, to highlight is the threat also to our traditional values and the family as the basic unit of our society. The evolving face of the Kenyan family is characterized in the 2019 national census, where families headed by single parents rose from 25.1% in 2009 to 38.2%. If unchecked, this trend shall destroy the fundamental character of Kenya and reap untold harm onto our most vulnerable and precious members, our children. So I urge all of us, including our religious leaders, our community leaders, and all concerned government agencies, to step up to the plate and make sure that the Kenyan family remains the strong and respected institution that it has historically been. So, fellow Kenyans, my message to the nation today is that whereas we are claiming progress, we do not claim perfection. Yes, we have made commendable progress on the social-economic front, but we cannot claim to have reached the pinnacle of our nation's potential. There is much more to be done to move our nation to the next level of development. The fourth administration that I have had the privilege to lead together with my colleagues has laid the foundation upon which the fifth, the sixth, and the seventh, and all future administrations can build. However, to achieve the shared aspirations of our people, successive administrations are called upon to foster national unity, and this is the single greatest enabler for sustainable development and shared prosperity for all. Our first collective national duty, therefore, in this forthcoming elections, general elections, on the 9th of August 2022, is to choose peace and stability over fear, hope over hate, and progress over retrogression. On this solemn occasion, we also reflect on the plight of our brothers and sisters who have run into headwinds with the law and are currently serving custodial sentences in our correctional facilities. Indeed, in response to various petitions from actors with the justice and legal sector, and in line with our commitment to restorative justice and reintegration of offenders, on the recommendation of the Power of Mercy Advisory Committee, I have on this day exercised the presidential prerogative of pardon and granted a second chance to some 3,908 inmates. To those that have been pardoned, mine to you is that you should now be change makers in our society and restore faith and confidence in our criminal justice system. Reciprocate the generosity that has been shown by your motherland through this act of mercy with a high sense of civic duty and service to your country. Fellow Kenyans, ladies and gentlemen, kwa hayo mengi, with the eternal flame that we lit yesterday on the eve of Madaraka Day, and the first Madaraka Day held on these grounds, let us all commit ourselves to fanning the flames of freedom, democracy, prosperity, unity, integrity, and most importantly, peace, and our combined, collective, unceasing commitment to Project Kenya. May God bless you, and may God bless Kenya. Asanteni sana.
Kwa heshima naomba sote tusimame kwa wimbo wa taifa.
Iwe ngao na mlinzi, na tuka twaomba uilinde Jumuiya Afrika Mashariki, tuwezeshe kuishi kwa amani, tutimize na malengo yetu. Jumuiya yetu sote tuilinde, tuajibike, tuimarike. Umoja wetu ni nguzo yetu, idumu jumuiya yetu.
Asanteni sana. Ningeomba tuweze kutulia popote tulipo, wananchi wazalendo. Nikiitisha hivi sasa magari ya Mheshimiwa Rais wa Jamhuri ya Kenya pamoja na magari ya Mheshimiwa Rais Jamhuri ya Sierra Leone. Kisha baadaye je wajua iweze kuendelea, na hapo hapo nikiitisha magari ya mkuu wa majeshi ya ulinzi pamoja na service commanders. Tutulie tafadhali.
Wajua kuwa tangu tujinyakulia uhuru hadi mwaka wa 2013 Je, wajua?
Bendi,
wajua kuwa
asante.
tangu tujinyakulia uhuru hadi mwaka wa 2013
Asante Bendi.
Kenya ilikuwa na kilomita 13,000 za barabara za lami pekee. Na wajua kuwa Rais Uhuru Kenyatta alipochukua hatamu za uongozi mwaka 2013 alitoa ahadi ya kujenga kilomita 10,000 za barabara za lami ili kuinua uchumi wa nchi na maisha ya Wakenya. Bila shaka, ahadi hii ya Rais Kenyatta imeafikiwa, kwani katika kipindi cha miaka 9 tu, serikali ya Rais Kenyatta imejenga kilomita 10,400 za barabara za lami. Hii inamaanisha kuwa Kenya sasa ina jumla ya kilomita 23,400 za barabara za lami, ongezeko la 80%. Katika miaka 9 iliyopita, shirika la Kenya limejenga kilomita 3,300 za barabara zinazojulikana kama highways. Kwenye miji, shirika la Kura limejenga kilomita 950 za barabara zijulikanazo kama urban roads. Na kule vijijini, shirika la Kera nalo limejenga kilomita 6,300 za barabara, yani rural roads. Cha kutia moyo ni kwamba barabara zingine kilomita 6,600 zinaendelea kujengwa na mashirika haya matatu kote nchini kutokana na uwekezaji wa serikali ya Rais Kenyatta. Ni dhahiri kuwa katika kila pembe ya taifa hili Wakenya wanajivunia barabara za lami.
Asante. Sasa tulete msafara wa Mheshimiwa Rais wa Sierra Leone. Msafara wa Mheshimiwa Rais ukiondoka, tuweze kulete msafara wa Mheshimiwa Rais wa Sierra Leone. Magari mengine yote yabaki pahali yalipo.
Je, wajua? Wajua kuwa tangu tujinyakulia uhuru hadi mwaka wa 2013 Kenya ilikuwa na kilomita 13,000 za barabara za lami pekee. Na wajua kuwa Rais Uhuru Kenyatta alipochukua hatamu za uongozi mwaka 2013 alitoa ahadi ya kujenga kilomita 10,000 za barabara za lami ili kuinua uchumi wa nchi na maisha ya Wakenya. Bila shaka, ahadi hii ya Rais Kenyatta imeafikiwa, kwani katika kipindi cha miaka 9 tu, serikali ya Rais Kenyatta imejenga kilomita 10,400 za barabara za lami. Hii inamaanisha kuwa Kenya sasa ina jumla ya kilomita 23,400 za barabara za lami, ongezeko la 80%. Katika miaka 9 iliyopita, shirika la Kenya limejenga kilomita 3,300 za barabara zinazojulikana kama highways. Kwenye miji, shirika la Kura limejenga kilomita 950 za barabara zijulikanazo kama urban roads. Na kule vijijini, shirika la Kera nalo limejenga kilomita 6,300 za barabara, yani rural roads. Cha kutia moyo ni kwamba barabara zingine kilomita 6,600 zinaendelea kujengwa na mashirika haya matatu kote nchini kutokana na uwekezaji wa serikali ya Rais Kenyatta. Ni dhahiri kuwa katika kila pembe ya taifa hili, Wakenya wanajivunia barabara za lami, iwe ni walio mijini au vijijini. Na hii ni ahadi ya Rais Uhuru Kenyatta iliyotimia. Sasa wajua.
Uongozi maana yake,
uongozi ndio uwezo uliopewa na watu
wa kuwahudumia
mahitaji yao
na kushughulikia
maslahi yao.
Uongozi watoka wapi?
Uongozi watoka kwake Baba Mwenyezi Mungu,
kwa wateule wake
aliyewateua
kuwaongoza watu
mapenzi yake,
tangu tupate uhuru
katika nchi ya Kenya. Tumebarikiwa sana
kupata viongozi
kwa busara sana,
twatoa shukrani
kwa Mwenyezi Mungu.
nasi wananchi Kenya
Sote tunalo jukumu la kulinda nchi yetu
na kumsaidia
kiongozi wetu
katika kazi yake
ya kujenga nchi.
nasi wananchi Kenya
Sote tunalo jukumu la kulinda nchi yetu
na kumsaidia
kiongozi wetu
katika kazi yake
ya kujenga nchi.
Kenya ni imara, sote tunajivunia.
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 Kenya ni nchi nzuri sana, lazima tuilinde.
Kenya ni imara, sote tunajivunia.
Tusikubali wachochezi waiharibu Kenya.
Kenya ni imara, sote tunajivunia.
Wananchi wetu wa Kenya tuheshimu mamlaka, kwa sababu uwezo wote watoka kwa Mungu juu.
Kenya ni imara, sote tunajivunia.
Tukitaka maendeleo katika nchi yetu, ni lazima tuungane sote tujenge nchi yetu.
Kenya ni imara, sote tunajivunia.
Vigelegele na nderemo tushangilie Kenya.
Kenya ni imara, sote tunajivunia.
Vigelegele na nderemo tushangilie Kenya.
ni imara, sote tunajivunia.
Tuungane na viongozi tukijenga taifa.
Kenya ni imara, sote tunajivunia.
Vigelegele na nderemo tushangilie Kenya.
Kenya ni imara, sote tunajivunia.
Vigelegele na nderemo tushangilie Kenya.
Kenya ni imara, sote tunajivunia.
Tuungane na viongozi tukijenga taifa.
Kenya ni imara, sote tunajivunia.
Uongozi maana yake,
uongozi ndio uwezo uliopewa na watu
wa kuwahudumia
mahitaji yao
na kushughulikia
maslahi yao.
Uongozi watoka wapi?
Uongozi watoka kwake Baba Mwenyezi Mungu,
kwa wateule wake
aliyewateua
kuwaongoza watu
mapenzi yake. Tunajivunia Kenya nchi yetu, kweli yapendeza, kweli yavutia. Tunajivunia Kenya nchi yetu, kweli yapendeza, kweli yavutia. Kenya nchi yangu nitaitongoza, nitailinda maishani mwangu. Kenya nchi yangu nitaitongoza, nitailinda maishani mwangu. Tazama porini simba anguruma, kifaru yu pale na ndege wa anga. Tazama porini simba anguruma, kifaru yu pale na ndege wa anga. Nchi yangu nitaitongoza, nitailinda maishani mwangu. Nchi yangu nitaitongoza, nitailinda maishani mwangu. Liwala Bogoria kweli lashangaza, majini ya moto hiyo ni ajabu. Liwala Bogoria kweli lashangaza, majini ya moto hiyo ni ajabu. Nchi yangu nitaitongoza, nitailinda maishani mwangu. Nchi yangu nitaitongoza, nitailinda maishani mwangu. Liwala Victoria ninaunganisha Kenya na Uganda, Kenya na Tanzania. Liwala Victoria ninaunganisha Kenya na Uganda, Kenya na Tanzania. Nchi yangu nitaitongoza, nitailinda maishani mwangu. Nchi yangu nitaitongoza, nitailinda maishani mwangu. Fika Mombasa, mito wa bahari, ogelea maji, jua tamu kuota. Fika Mombasa, mito wa bahari, ogelea maji, jua tamu kuota. tunaomba upendo Kenya, tunaomba Mungu ulinde, tunaomba umoja Kenya, tunaomba umoja Kenya, tunaomba umoja Kenya, tunaomba Mungu ulinde. Makuhani, wazee wa kanisa, wenzangu na wengine, kuweni mavazi yenu, tuombeni amani Kenya. Najivunia kuwa Mkenya, na Mungu sikia maombi yetu. Uongozi wema watoka kwako, tunaomba uilinde Kenya, tunaomba amani Kenya, tunaomba amani Kenya, tunaomba amani Kenya, tunaomba Mungu ailinde, tunaomba upendo Kenya, tunaomba upendo Kenya, tunaomba upendo Kenya, tunaomba Mungu ailinde, tunaomba umoja Kenya, tunaomba umoja Kenya, tunaomba umoja Kenya, tunaomba Mungu ailinde. Hatupendi nchini Kenya, ukabila na upakaji ni maafa yasiyofaa. Majanga mengi yametukumba kwa sababu ya dhambi zetu. Mungu Baba, twaja kwako, utusamehe makosa yetu. Tunaomba upendo Kenya, tunaomba upendo Kenya, tunaomba upendo Kenya, tunaomba Mungu ulinde, tunaomba umoja Kenya, tunaomba umoja Kenya, tunaomba umoja Kenya, tunaomba Mungu ulinde, tunaomba amani Kenya, tunaomba amani Kenya, tunaomba amani Kenya, tunaomba Mungu ulinde. Wachane na mayatima, wanasiasa na makanisa, tunalia amani Kenya, tuombeni upendo Kenya. Wachane na mayatima, wanasiasa na makanisa, tunalia amani Kenya, tuombeni upendo Kenya. Tunaomba amani Kenya, tunaomba amani Kenya, tunaomba amani Kenya, tunaomba upendo Kenya, tunaomba upendo Kenya, tunaomba Mungu ulinde, tunaomba umoja Kenya, tunaomba umoja Kenya, tunaomba umoja Kenya, tunaomba Mungu ulinde.
Check, hello.
Wako pekee lakini mama ndo hayupo. Hello. Tafadhali kidogo. Tafadhali kidogo. Kuna watoto wawili wamepatikana wamepotea, hawana mzazi. Kama wewe ni mzazi alafu umepoteza watoto wawili, tafadhali songa huku mbele kwa main control. Watoto wawili wamepotea. Kama wewe ni mzazi ulikuja na watoto wawili lakini hawapo, tafadhali